Top of the morning to you lads. My name is Luigi, also known as Joe, and this is another theory video. Now, I did this last time with Jackson, and you know what me and him, what we did is we watched my film, which I have it pulled up, and basically what we did is just I asked him like basically what was going on and whatnot during the film or and what theories he had during like a clip or something. And then what Jackson did is he made his own theories. But this time there's two films out. So what Jackson will do is Jackson will what I think Jackson will do. I'm not gonna say he will. I'm not saying he's gonna do it or whatnot. But I think that what Jackson should do, he doesn't have to because he's been backstage. I think Jackson should like try and see what similarities are, but what kind of similarities there'll be between last film and this film and whatnot, and then basically him breaking down everything with the post credit scenes as well and whatnot. So and actually Jackson's in the backstage right now eating fucking pizza.
Hey guys, what's up?
Yeah, he's eating fucking pizza on my video. Wow, uncool, man.
Hey, I'm hungry.
whatever. Okay, so how do you want to do this? So, should we just like, watch this bit of the film and then what should we like discuss about the parts of the film and then you make the theory and I whatnot, or what should we do?
Um, I think we should like watch through each part, and then afterwards, I'll give my thoughts on it. I think we should also make this like a bit of like a review on my part as well. I'll add the theories in there, but I think it would be cool if I also kind of rate your film and stuff. I've already watched it twice, but
Yeah,
for the video's sake.
yeah. Okay. And it's on screen now. And keep in mind, if you guys have not watched the film already, go do it now. So that way you don't you know because this might not make sense if you don't watch the film all the way through. Uh so of course we're gonna start with the beginning part because we're not too big into the beginning part because you know whatnot. So you know, but here we go. The last Cold boss died, and okay. Let's just go back a little bit. But to tell you, you're gonna be fine. It's late at night. We cut down all the lights except for the one in here. And honestly, dude, it's been 5 years since the last clone boss died. And honestly, I think you're gonna be safe. No one's gonna come after you, bro. But what if someone tries to come after me like your old clone boss? Dude, just calm down. Everything will be fine. Yeah, I guess you're right. I shouldn't really worry. Motherfucker! Oh, holy shit! Hey, what the hell is all that? Sir, you're all right, bro?
All good.
All right, we're not gonna go into his speech because that's no. Anyways, from what you just witnessed, what do you think happened during that bit of the speech? During
Well,
that whole like minute and like 5 seconds or whatever.
from my perspective here, in my opinion, what happened here was first off, these two thought it was all safe, right? Of course, they all thought it was safe and
Yeah.
all. And then this guy, who, by the way, the guy that shot him, comes in he comes a very important character later on. Should I say his name? I think that's Charlie, right?
The guy. Yeah, that was Charlie who shot him. Yeah.
Yeah, who, and as if you watched the movie already, you would know he is the main villain of this one.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, but what I find very interesting about that scene is how well it sets up. the movie itself. You know, we already get to see Charlie's how do we describe it? Murderous tendencies in the first minute and 30 seconds already. We know that he is clearly the villain. We clearly know he's the villain. But there is a plot twist about him at the end. Now, I'm not going to say it right now, but there is a cool plot twist about him at the end that's very interesting. Also, I got to say, not right now. Not right now. Well, kind of in the scene, but I got to say, the acting in this movie I thought was way better than the first one. I thought the acting improved a lot from the first one, and even just the dialogue improved from the first one. I really like the dialogue in this scene and moving forward in the movie. And one more thing about the scene is this is one of these characters is Joe, who was the hero of the first movie.
No. The Joe in the first film was actually the creator of that one, and so I get what you're saying, but there's two different Joes. Basically after this scene, there's only one more Joe now, and this is the the clone boss Joe, basically not the original. So in this film, there's the original and there's the clone boss. Says the clone boss is now gone because he's dead. There's now just the original. So there's no one else can have the name Joe unless they're unless they are going to be high ranking or they're the original. So that's I'm just going to clarify that right now in this video. There's two separate Joes.
Okay. So I'm guessing the Joe was the first clone he ever created, right? Or
well, actually I think the clone boss before this one was actually the first clone he created, but then this is the second Joe he actually created. That actually turned out way better. So
okay, so that it would make sense that the first Joe wouldn't be. He's kind of like more of a prototype, so he didn't work out so well. But this one worked out. This also, I think this scene just sets up the movie great in general, not just Charlie's character, but I think it sets up the movie great in general. I really like this first scene. You know, we jump right into the action with everything. And that's what I like about the scene. I don't have much more to comment on, so we can continue.
Yeah, and we're not gonna do his speech because we're like, should we just play? I don't think we're gonna play his speech, but I think what we're gonna do is like skip to after the speech to like here when the third guy walks in, and after that we're just gonna play the part where he just announces what happened and so forth. So here we go.
Yeah.
You know why we're here, guys? I have no idea. We were just called in here because he said he was going to do a press conference about something, and he needed to have an audience and a little bit of a news camera in here. But I don't know. What do you think, Brad? I honestly have no idea either. But let's just see. Clone Boss Joe and his assistant Michael. They've been assassinated.
Really?
Oh,
can't be real.
Come on. And this wasn't no outside shooter at all. I'm not saying that. It was one of our own. One of our own people caused this assassination. I cannot believe this. Now, he didn't just murder the two important people in this community. He declared war on all of us. And this person's name was Charlie. Charlie is the man in question. He was the one who declared war on us. Now, I don't know why he would want to do this, but it could be for some stupid reason, or maybe he's just blood hungry. He just wanted to get some blood out. I don't know. Okay? Didn't we just have an attack on us like 5 years ago? Yeah, we did. Now, when I walked in and saw the bodies of both Clone Boss Joe and his assistant, Michael, they both were shot, apparently. They both were shot. Clone Boss Joe got shot in the chest and he survived a little bit longer than Michael did because Michael got shot in the head. He didn't make it. Clone Boss Joe, on the other hand, he got shot in the chest and lasted a couple more seconds, but he still unfortunately died. Just try and stay safe, and may God bless your souls. I can't deal with this. I'm out of here.
Okay, just from that scene alone, like how much like was like what went on? Do you think in that scene? Like, what theories do you have about the scene, or just basically like comments on the scene? What all do you have about this very scene?
Well, first off, I just want to say the comment about the 5 years thing is very interesting. Um, so it said 2 years later. At one point in the film, it said like 2 years later. I think that's the scene after this. So that means that in between these events and those events, like the events after this would happen 7 years after the original, since he said it was 5 years. So, and plus, this is what started the Civil War, right? Everything started from this point, and everything went to shit after this.
Mm-hmm.
After Joe and Michael died, and I know, and I will save that comment for later about Michael, but Joe, I think it's very interesting that we have two different Joe clones, and one of them is now dead. Well, one is the original. Now the other one is dead, which is interesting. Another thing I gotta say is this. I like this clone address thing. It's really interesting, and I think it's pretty realistic to what a world of clones would be like. There would have to be like addresses and stuff, and also one more thing about the scene. This scene also has the scene also shows something that we haven't seen in one of the films. Three Joes in the same shot, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah,
Three Joes in the same shot.
yeah, like 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 to Jackson, this is interesting because there's normally there'd be two Joes in my film, like just face to face, but now there's three in one shot, which like what makes that interesting to you, man?
What makes it interesting is, especially in a future film, you could have like three people attacking each other at like the same time in the same shot, and that could be really cool, as an idea. And I also think it's just really interesting in general that this is the first time we've ever seen three Joes on screen. But it makes sense for the scene because this is an address. There's going to be a decent amount of people. This also shows the ranking of the Joe clones as well a little bit, because I'm guessing that guy is higher ranked since he's addressing everyone, and those guys are probably lower ranked than him because he's the one addressing them about this whole situation.
Yeah, and we're gonna skip the shooting. We're just gonna get to the 2 years later bit because
this is actually
we got the 2 years later.
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite parts of the movie. I really like this one.
Okay, here we go.
Hey, Joe, what's my assignment for today? Please tell me it's not no more paperwork. Nope, I want you to investigate the deaths of the clones during this war, and I want you to see if there's any possible link to them. Are you serious? Oh, I'm dead serious, Hank. Why me? Why I gotta handle all this shit? I'm the least qualified person in the country to handle this case. I know jack shit about clones, Joe. I could barely change the settings on my own phone. Everybody's overloaded, and I think you're perfectly qualified for this investigation. Bullshit. The truth is, no one wants to investigate these damn clones, and you left me holding the bag. Hank, you are seriously starting to piss me off. You're supposed to do what I say and shut your goddamn mouth. Oh, yeah? Well, you know what my goddamn mouth has to say to you? Okay, huh?
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that, so I don't have to add any more pages to your disciplinary folder because it already looks like a fucking novel. Joe, Jesus Christ, why are you doing this to me? You already know how much I hate those fucking things. They creep me the fuck out. Hank, I have had just enough of your bitching. Now you do your job or you turn in your badge. Now, if you excuse me, I got work to do. Sure, just sitting there and drinking coffee actually counts as work. What was that? Nothing. I didn't say anything. I'll go investigate the clones now. Get the hell out of my office. By the way, Joe, if I find out that these clones are off by some secret evil organization, do I get a raise? No, Hank. Great. Fantastic. How wonderful. One day, Hank's gonna find a clone and lose his damn mind. Can't wait for that show to happen.
Okay.
What the hell even is a clone autopsy?
Okay. What makes that scene interesting, and what theories do you have about this scene here too?
Well, just first off, I just want to say that was probably the funniest scene in the entire movie by far. I really like this one. I like their commentary and their dynamic. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the scene. It's one of my favorite. But one thing I found very interesting is the disciplinary folder comment. So, do all the clones have a disciplinary folder, or is it just Hank specifically?
You know what? When I made that scene, I was just Hank because I took the idea from Detroit Become Human. But basically, I guess now that you mention it, if clones work for him and not just normal like citizens, then yes, they would have a disciplinary folder. But Hank in particular, he does because just like he does have a disciplinary folder because, well, obviously, if you played Detroit Become Human, that most of my references are from that game. So so that's who I'm referencing the character to of Hank. But yes, Hank and a few others that work for him have a disciplinary folder, and I don't think they're as bad as Hank's if I decide to show Hank's disciplinary folder in the future.
Yeah. Another comment I have about the scene is this shows a clear power struggle between the clone leaders and the normal clones. I think that's a very interesting thing that wasn't really shown in the first one, and I think that was something that needed to be shown, and it being shown here I thought was really cool. Not only it just being funny on conversation, but it also just shows a general power struggle, and also kind of shows how unqualified some of these clones are to be doing the stuff they're doing. I mean, it was pretty much mentioned in the stream in the scene. Even Hank said that he wasn't qualified for it, so it shows how much of a mess this war has been for these clones, and I find that to be interesting, very interesting.
Yeah, and so, and one thing, and like we're not even 10 minutes yet into the film, but do you think the original Joe here had changed from the last film, or do you think he's still kind of the same as the first film?
I think he's still sort of the same. In the first film, I thought he was kind of how do I describe it? He has a little bit of an ego to me. Maybe that's a little weird to say. Maybe you guys won't agree with me, but he has a bit of an ego. He seems to be a bit in his own head all the time. He doesn't really seem to care that much for others, and I think it showed in that scene where Hank was telling him that he wasn't qualified for it, and he really did not care at all. And he was just in his own head and in his own thought, and it was just blowing off Hank. He also has some what's the word for it? Ignorance. I can't say words.
Ignorance.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm dyslexic as shit, but yeah, but yeah, he was that because he wasn't really, and also he also is just kind of what's the word for it? Careless, not careless. It's I guess cold. I guess cruel. Cruel. It would be the word for it. He's also very cruel. As I said, he doesn't seem to really care that much. So, I don't think he's changed much from the last movie, to be honest, which is fine with me.
Honestly. Well, you might. It's kind of like the it'll kind of be the different in the next scene here that plays because it's like now we get to see a side of Joe that wasn't really shown much in the last film, I don't think. Okay, here we go.
This war wasn't supposed to go this
This
far.
is the original right here.
We're supposed to be
I thought
together, united.
Kind of hard to tell because he just changed shirts all of a sudden to me.
Yeah. Most of the clones have the same pretty much have the same idea when it comes to shirts, and it's like 1 week, and he saw how the war went. It's like you know what? I don't know. I just thought of this, but I don't know how after 2 years of the war, he didn't think much of it. But then after another week, he just says the war has gone too far.
I mean,
You know what? I'm guessing he says that the war has gone too far after that 1 week because there must have been more stuff. Like more stuff has happened during that 1 week, and says not much has turned crazy yet. What do you think?
um, I would agree with that because even if that, and honestly, with the knowledge that this is actually Joe, I would be interested to see what happened in that week that kind of changed his opinion. I wonder if maybe he was out on the battlefield himself for a bit and maybe he saw something that made him think differently about the war.
Yeah,
Possibly maybe something we could see in the future.
yeah. But here we go. Has won, but now we're just enemies with familiar faces. Oh shit. Okay, this better not be what I think it is going on in there. I don't know what you're playing at, but you better lower your weapon, you murderer. I bloody hell won't. You're the one who assaulted me. For all I know, you could be the murderer. What the hell's going? Whoa. Last chance. Drop your weapon. Everyone, please. I know we're all on edge, but can't we just solve this amicably? On edge. This psycho tried to shoot me. That's a bold-faced lie. I was merely trying to do some light target practice. Inside? Well, yes, I couldn't go outside with that bloody war going on, now could I? Enough of this horse shit. You knew I was on to you and you were trying to whack me up before I could finger you.
That was such a bad thing.
As the murderer, I will not be called a murderer in my own home. Alright, that's it. Sometimes trust is the first casualty to everything. Okay, now the other three characters, I actually had a name. Like I just gotta go into my script I just gotta read off my script because those three characters did actually have a name, but they weren't actually mentioned. So explain what it was interesting about this scene and what theories you have for that scene while I look through the script to see what the names were.
Well, what I found interesting about that scene was, again, first off, normal Joe is back at it again with the killing, as you can tell now. So he's back at it with all the killing and stuff. Also, something I find, I gotta say that scene was very humorous, which was something I have to mention about it, especially the before I finger you part. Everyone was just like, what the hell? I was expecting you to say like "heyo" or something there, one of the characters to say it, but honestly, it was still really funny. And then, so on the scene though, actually, like its implications, I don't think it had too many implications to the overall story. I mean, it kind of did, because it did escalate things a little bit, but it's more or less just kind of like more or less just showing that Joe is still going back to his old ways, more or less, in everything. And this could also, though, I will say this could possibly be the scene where he may have changed his opinion on everything a little bit, or everything in general. That's a possibility. Probably not likely, but it could have been a possibility. What else do I have to say about the scene? Oh yeah. So something like, honestly, I don't have much to say about the scene though. I was trying to think of something, but honestly, I don't have much to say about it. I think it was just your normal scene.
Yeah.
It was just pretty fun. It was pretty funny though, so I'll give it that.
Okay. Yeah. So I couldn't find the script that was right to this, but I think that okay, now I just gotta go. Okay, so I think that okay, so let me just go to the beginning of the scene here.
Oh,
Okay, so I think this guy, one of these, it's like I think this guy. No, I think it. Hold on, I mean, one of those two, his name was Mark. One of the other ones was named was I think it was uh it was not okay. Hold on, I think the names were Mark, Carl, and something else. I don't remember the names, but I know one of these two guys' names was Mark because that's just the name I decided to make for the character, one of the characters.
All right.
Okay, and so yeah, one of the guys, his name is Mark. I don't know, but I don't really. I didn't really say the names there because they were just gonna die anyway. But let's just watch this scene here because this scene I think is kind of important to the film as well. I think it's important to the film, but let's just watch it.
oh my
Yeah.
God! All right, let's see what kind of drama is happening today with this war going on.
Good evening, I am Thomas the Tank Engine, and you are watching Clone War tonight.
Is this real life?
The Clone War rages on as rival factors continue arguing over who is technically the original. Tensions escalated today when Supreme General Clone 472 declared himself the most wholesome clone, sparking immediate outrage from the definitely more wholesome Clone League.
I swear this isn't real life because never mind.
The economy has collapsed. Again, as clone banks can't agree on which clones open which banks. Meanwhile, clone labor strikes continue due to complaints of cloning burnout after repeated photocopying on office printers.
Okay, how is this the only thing on right now?
Now, an exclusive weather update from Weather Thomas.
Ooh, let's hope we get some light rain today.
Today's forecast, 100% chance of chaos. Expected scattered laser fire by noon, followed by heavy clone-related existential crises. Stay indoors unless you're also a clone. In which case, good luck.
Wow. Okay. How sad.
And finally, a feel-good story. Clones 832 and 833 overcome their differences by realizing they're both equally terrible at karaoke.
You know what? I'd say this is better than reality TV.
For Clone War tonight, I'm Thomas the Tank Engine. Remember, stay safe, stay sane, and don't try to duplicate yourself. Good night.
I honestly need a real vacation. I need a vacation.
Okay. Well, okay. What made that scene interesting, and what theories do you think connect that one with the? Okay, then, like, what do you think is interesting first before I ask about the theories?
What I find very interesting about this scene was first off that comment about, oh, I hope we get some light rain. So I'm asking, is this war causing like a drought or something?
Well, it's not really causing a drought per se, but ever since, it's like it's like the only reason why he's saying that they need some light rain is because during the war, I think, the water supply got cut down, so that's why they asked for light rain.
Okay, that makes sense. Then I guess that would make a lot of sense. But also Thomas's weather forecast was hilarious. Like 100% chance of chaos, scattered laser fire, and
Yeah, and I don't know if you've noticed, but did you see this behind him?
yeah, that's Gordon. So Gordon
Yeah.
exists. Why is Gordon there though? That'd be interesting.
Just think that if Thomas, just think, Gordon has no back wheels here, no front wheels here, and he has no tender either, and he's far away off the tracks. So what does that explain to you?
Did he like get in a crash and they just not bothered to fix him, or is it a reference to the episode Gordon takes a dip or whatever the hell the name is? Gordon takes whatever the hell it was called. Remember for the season 1 episode where he went into a ditch?
Yeah, I think or what could have happened is that they probably, or they're probably one of the they probably could have like dismantled Gordon and just left. They just decided to just take him off the rails and just take the back parts of him off and just leave him like that.
Oh, so you're saying kind of like Smudger, right? Where they just kind
Yeah.
of left him to
Yeah.
die, basically. I mean, at least he's not a generator, I guess. That would be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And then what theories do you have about the what theories do you have about this scene that kind of what that would kind of connect to the last film, or somewhat, not like could either be related or unrelated to the last film?
Something that I find, so a theory I would have about this scene in particular is, okay, so at the end of the film, spoilers by the way, Joe told you to watch the movie before, so it's not my fault that I'm spoiling you. If you watch this far, you've already been pretty much spoiled on the entire movie. What I find very interesting is just Thomas being there in general. So I'm wondering, did he go from the Magic Railroad, and then possibly in the Magic Railroad there's another portal that would lead to this world? Because we know the Thomas and Friends world. We know by the last scene that isn't the post-credit scene that the Thomas universe and this universe are two completely different universes. See, we know that too, because he had to use magic dust just to get there. So I'm wondering, is there like some way you can get from the island of Sodor, from the Magic Railroad, Shining Time Station world, and then going through into this world?
For Thomas, I guess there's some magic buffers somewhere that they managed to get Thomas's world into there. But then, for Joe, you could pretty much see it at the end of the movie right before the credit, right at the end scene, right before the credits, on how Joe gets there. Basically, you'll see it at the end of the film. So
yeah. But also one more thing. Go back to the scene where Thomas is talking about the weather, right?
okay, let me. Here,
Why
here.
is he halfway off the tracks? Can you explain that to me?
Okay. So, okay. I need
Indoors.
Okay.
Unless you're
Okay. I had to make that 10 minutes because 9:59 would have bugged the hell out of me. Anyways, so when I was making this scene, like with like your lines, I was like, how could I make the weather portion funny? And then I was like, okay, well, if I just have Thomas derailed on the tracks to explain the weather, because it's like he's explaining the weather because 100% chance of chaos, laser strikes and whatnot, and if he was off the tracks, then that'd explain how chaotic it is because he's off the tracks, and if he was on the tracks, then people wouldn't really believe him. I guess people would like believe him slightly, but if he was on the tracks, it'd be way better to probably like make the scenes that way. It could describe how the weather kind of is and whatnot. So I just decided to make it just so when he's describing the weather, he just is off the tracks because to show how chaotic the Civil War could get.
Yeah. So that's all right. That explains the scene. I don't really have anything else to say about the scene, but that one theory about how the worlds connect is very interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Your vacation. Here we go.
5 minutes later.
Okay, here we go. Charlie. Joe. I was starting to think you lost your edge there, bud. I come here to fight. No? That's disappointing. Fighting's technically what we're all good at, isn't it? Not anymore. You're starting to sound just like them. The clones? Always so soft, always so full of excuses. I'm not here to defend them, Charlie. I'm here to understand. Understand what? Why I killed the clone boss and why I killed Michael? Yes, Charlie. Why? They were your allies. Your friends. No, Joe. They weren't friends. They were tools. They got in my way, and I did what I had to do. They were trying to stop the war before it started. They were trying to control us the clone boss, Michael, all of them. They were playing God, Joe. They decided who lived and who died. We're in their little sandbox, and they watched from above. You know, Charlie, I used to be just like you. I thought nothing mattered except killing. But then one day I understood. Understand what exactly? That you can't live without them? That you rather bow for their system than fight for what's actually real? I realize it's not about fighting, it's about something worth saving. Very moving, Joe.
The
But I'm not
sarcasm.
an idiot. I've waited for a long time to kill people, and it's exactly what I'm going to do. Are you really going to create a world under your power? I am doing whatever is strictly necessary to accomplish my mission. It's up to you whether or not it includes killing those clones. What about the innocents, Charlie? Well, the people caught in the crossfire, what about them? There's no innocence, Joe.
Dang.
There's the lucky and there's the dead.
That line
Two
was-
differences. You're wrong. People are more than collateral damage, Charlie. Tell me, Joe. Have you truly ever felt pain before? I felt enough to know that revenge doesn't fix it. Not good enough, Joe. Let me show you what real pain looks like. What the hell? How aren't you? I haven't felt pain in a long time, Charlie. You think that makes you stronger? You're just a broken shell, Joe. A machine, maybe. But at least it's better than being blinded by rage. Blind. You don't think I see clearly, Joe? I see the world for what it is. Chaos. And chaos needs someone to control it. And you think you're the one to do that? Killing anyone who disagrees with you? I'll burn this all down if I have to. And then what? Be the king of the ashes? At least I'll be free. You can't stop what's coming, Joe. It's already too late. Oh, yeah? Well, it's not too late for me to stop you. I'm the storm, and you're the leaf in the wind. Well, if I'm a leaf, I'll make sure to fall where it matters.
Okay.
Damn.
Okay, so what makes that scene interesting, and what theories do you have that could be like, you know, important for later in the film, or what theories do you have that's just in general for like random theories that you could have in your head besides the interesting stuff?
Well, here's something interesting: the dialogue, specifically about the films, specifically the dialogue, especially the line about "there are no innocents, there's just the lucky and the dead," like that. That's a very interesting line, and it really shows. So that's Charlie.
Yeah, the guy in the white shirt is Charlie. Well, this is Joe. I made sure to you could tell the difference between the two.
Oh, okay. So that makes sense. But yeah. So one thing that I found very interesting is how warped Charlie's worldview is in this scene. Like you could tell that he really just doesn't understand how the world actually works, and he has this weirdly warped perception of reality that, at the end of the day, doesn't make any sense. But he believes it so much that it's destroying him, and everyone else. And that's just how it is. Some people have that warped worldview.
Yeah. And is there any like theories you have with this scene that could be like somewhat related or unrelated to this film or the last film? Like, do you have any theories on that?
Well, this interaction itself is, it's hard to say. I don't know if I have any like specific theories about it, but this scene, I think, is. I'll say this though. I think this scene is a turning point in the movie, especially because of where it is in the movie. You'll notice it's about halfway through. This is about the turning point when things start to go off the rails. Unironically, unironically go off the rails. Like there's a lot of craziness after this, and the way that they talk to each other tells me that these two have a history. Yeah, clearly that these two have a history. Yeah. With each other, and they clearly do not like each other very much. Which I guess that would be my theory. My theory sort of that these two have known each other for a long time, and that they know they know each other very well. Clearly they talked before.
Yeah. And then the next scene is actually between Hank and Charlie. And, so you'll see that interaction.
3 days later.
Now, I will say here, this scene took like a long time because because if you can't tell, I'm looking at Charlie's looking down at the table, but I'm looking down at the script. I have the script right in front of me on the table. That's how I'm able to, say my lines. And then it's like I'll say which scene took me which part of this scene took the hardest to do because I had to try to say a certain line. I had to say like a couple lines multiple times because of how I was just reading the script and I had to look away to have Charlie look at Hank, and then there'll be times I'm like, "Fuck!" I was like, "Fuck!" I misspoke that. So just watch if it'll. You got some nerve sitting there like nothing happened. Good to see you too, Hank. Don't play coy with me, Charlie. You know why I'm here. I have a feeling you're about to remind me, Hank. You put your gun against them and you shot them both. Joe and Michael, they trusted you. And you killed them like it was nothing. I did what I had to do to make things right, and I'd do it again if I have to. Right? You call this right? Joe was the only one holding this war together, keeping everyone from tearing each other apart. And Michael? He was just a kid. Michael was no kid. He was Joe's shadow, a second pair of eyes. If I wouldn't have taken him out, someone else would have. You really think this justifies it? They were trying to end the fighting, Charlie. They were trying to find peace. Peace? Joe didn't want peace. He wanted control. He wanted clones like me and you to bow down to him, to play his little game of pretend humanity. You don't know that, Charlie. Don't I? I've seen the way he operated. I've seen the orders he gave, the lies he told. Michael was just his mouthpiece. You can't tell me that they weren't part of the problem. No, Charlie. You're the problem here. You're a disgrace to this earth. Everything you touch, you destroy. People like Joe, they try to fix the world, while people like you, they just try to destroy and tear everything apart. Fix the world? You can't fix the world if you let clones be deviants. That's the problem. Clones are a threat because they're becoming deviants. We're in this mess because you refuse to listen to deviants. You think they're the enemy, but they're just like us. They want to be free, but you just keep pushing and killing until there's nothing but ash. You know, Hank, betrayal, loyalty, they're just words. In the end, you do what you must do to survive. You're a lowlife. You don't feel a thing, do you? You're a clone, that's what you are. You're just a fucking clone. Of course I'm a clone, Hank. What'd you think I was? I thought... The difference is, I know what I am. Can you say the same, Hank? Okay. What makes that scene really interesting to you? And what implied? What was the difference between their interaction and the interaction with him and Joe?
Well, the big difference is the intelligence level of both the characters, because we know Hank is not that smart and Charlie is pretty smart. Well, Charlie is smart, but not in a rational way. I guess the word would be more like
irrational.
Yeah, he's smart, but he's irrational at the same time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, he has a warped worldview, but he uses a lot of smart words and phrases and stuff, which is interesting. And Hank doesn't use a lot of them. So it's interesting to see that. I also find Hank's character to be very interesting because he's kind of he's a new one we didn't see in the first movie, which is interesting. He just kind of appears under the scene now, and he's becoming a new character. Now, as for a theory, if I have a theory on the scene, Honestly, not really. I think everything about the scene is pretty clearly told. I think we pretty clearly know the dynamics between these two characters. It's already been established at this point that, Charlie is the villain of this movie. It was established at the beginning. So there's really nothing to say theory-wise. But something I will say that is interesting is him looking down at the ground. And obviously, I know in real life it was because of the script, but him looking down says that there is something wrong with Charlie. Like, he's sad about something. He doesn't seem to be fully there at this moment, which is interesting.
Yeah. And so we both saw how Hank and Joe talk to each other. We both saw how Joe and Charlie talk to each other. We both saw how Hank and Charlie talk to each other. What was the difference between how all three of those characters talk to each other?
Honestly, I gotta say, it's just the dynamic in the way they talk to each other. Like, Joe and Hank had a very interesting dynamic when they talked, like a very funny dynamic. Joe and Charlie had more of a serious dynamic, and then these two have more of a sad dynamic between the two of them. A very sad one, because you could just tell this is probably the saddest scene in the movie, in my opinion. Honestly, like it is very sad because you can tell that Charlie feels defeated about something, and that Hank is just Hank is basically what's the word for it? Hank is.
So basically, what you're trying to say is that Charlie is upset about something, and then and basically what you're trying to say is that Hank's probably somewhat trying to bring it up.
He's somewhat trying, but Hank is clearly looked down upon as an idiot. He's clearly looked at as an idiot by everyone, and he's not really taken that seriously by anyone that we've seen in this movie so far, which is interesting.
Yeah. And then we got the next scene.
Later that night.
The next scene is with me and Chris. And I do say Chris's name in here, but to any outside viewer, people may think that Chris is just some random dude that I just know, when it comes to this scene. So here we go. All right. Now, this is me. I'm going to confirm that right now because, it says later that night. So Charlie must have left, and I must have came right to that room, and I must have, had my iPod's basically just like a phone in some way, since it's in this one. But let's just keep watching. I have this. I just need to call somebody. Come on, pick up.
Okay, hold on. Before you start the scene,
Go on. What?
By the way, for anyone who is wondering, I actually came up with the idea for this scene. So the whole thing you're gonna watch, well, not entirely, but most of the dialogue from Chris was actually made up by me for the most part. Like, the way he speaks and the words he does speak, and the idea itself for the scene was kind of made by me. So you can thank me for the scene being in the movie if you like it.
Yeah. Come on, pick up.
Who the hell are you, scammer? I'm playing Fortnite.
Sorry, dude. I must have misdialed.
Well, you already ruined my game. So what's your deal, man?
Dude, the war's getting bad right now. The war I'm currently in is getting bad. Multiple innocents are getting killed. People are running low on ammo, a bunch, and I just don't know how much longer this can last.
Sounds like you're in serious trouble. Have you tried building walls?
Walls?
Yeah, build some cover, man. Reinforce your base. Do you guys have med kits?
We have bandages.
Good enough. Use them and stay in the zone. You don't want to get caught in the storm.
Thanks, Chris. I'll rally the men up and possibly build walls.
Wait. No. God damn it. You made me lose this match. I hate you, you dick.
Okay, so I'm glad I got Chris in this scene. I got Chris in the movie, which is funny. But what do you think is interesting about this scene between those two characters, or as this or as the scene what the scene as a whole?
Well, first off, for things that I think could happen with this scene, I think the dialogue that Joe and Chris have could carry over into the third movie when they talk about rallying up the men and building walls and stuff. It's very possible that, in my opinion, that could be somewhere in the third movie, possibly, and that could be the setup for it. Now, as for Chris's character, I kind of see him as just some like degenerate who likes playing Fortnite and gets really mad whenever he loses a match. That's how I see him. That's what I see him as. Also, the fact that you called him the phone guy was hilarious. It makes me imagine that the phone guy likes playing Fortnite and is degenerate as well.
Yeah. Okay.
1 week later.
Okay. So we got Charlie, but this introduces two random characters. So here we go. Going down, punk. Nice try, bro. Simmons, I need backup here now. What you need, mate? I shot this one in the chest and he won't die. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I know. What do we do, mate? Just light him up. Whoa, hold your fire. He's dead. He's down. Next time, we're doing the easy targets. Where's the
Hold on, go back to the scene where he's laying on the ground. I have something to say about it.
Okay. So, if you're wondering, that's the character I named him was Jacob, and the other guy that came in through the other door, besides Charlie, was named Simmons. Simmons is a SMO character name that I took. It was a character name I took from SML, so I gave him an accent from that too. So, what do you guys say? What do you need to say about this?
This is you when you get drunk at the Christmas party, yeah, for real. That's what it looks like to me. I don't know why. Yeah, Jacobs.
Okay. So from this whole scene, what makes this whole scene interesting to the whole film?
Well, first off, it does show that Charlie has some interesting connections with people, and this also shows that Charlie's on a mission for killing. Officially, that wasn't just a one-off thing that he did. Now that we know that he is a cold-blooded killer who will kill anyone and anything in his path. And also this scene I think I really like the dialogue between Simmons and Charles in the scene, especially the face that Simmons makes when he says Jesus Christ was really I really like that face. I don't know why. The face he made I thought was just kind of funny.
Okay. And yeah, so here we go.
3 hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
This ends now, Freddy. Yes, it does, man. Hey, why aren't you attacking me? Because I believe that fighting is wrong and this whole Civil War thing's just a stupid thing. Really? I thought
this
the same thing.
Here, guys.
Really?
See, they have the same shirt.
This turned out to be a coincidence then. Okay. So yeah, that is Freddy, and if you couldn't tell, I am wearing the same shirt as in the film, and if you can't tell, before I continue any further, do you think that these two just met, or do you think they have a slight history with each other right before I continue? Do you think just from that dialogue alone?
It's kind of hard to say. I could say slight history, but I would more lean towards never met before. Though I will say he knew his name though, so I'm gonna say, you know what? No, I'll say slight history. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll say slight history just because he said his name, right? Freddy. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue. Yes, it did. Weird. Everything just turned out okay.
You guys managed to survive the Clone Civil War. That's pretty awesome. Unfortunately, that really wasn't how I expected all of this to end. See, I really thought you'd all turn on each other by now, but you didn't. So I guess now I'm going to come into the bedroom.
finish the job. Someone tell me what's going on. Why this is the crime scene? And you're the victims.
What are you the victims of? A hand job?
No! That's not what they're the victims of. Jesus! It's you. You're the one who started all of this. Why? I wanted to take over this world and make everything my own. You'll never get away with this. Oh, I'll get away with it, all right. One way or another. You'll never get away with this. Men like you always fall. Then consider this your fall. You bastard! You're a psycho! You're wasting your time. This world isn't worth saving. You don't get to decide that, Charlie. We can still fix this. Humanity has changed. Oh, Joe. All your life, you've been rejected by this world. No one cared about you. No one listened. And yet, you turn around and you want to save the world? To save them? You only have yourself to blame. You're right. Maybe this world was cruel. But people can change. I changed. And if there's ever a way to fix this, I have to try. Humanity is a failed experiment. If anyone should know that, it's you. Then I guess I have to prove you wrong. What the fuck?
Wait a minute. Hold on.
What?
What was that noise that just happened there?
Oh, you mean when the... Okay. You mean like when it showed this?
Yeah, what was that sound?
Okay, so in film-wise, this was a noise like behind this door here. That was, I guess, that was a trap that was supposed to be set for Charlie if he came through that way. But I guess someone else went through that trap, and it like judging by the sound, it killed them because of the noises. And then Charlie didn't know that, so that's why because he teleported in there, and then which then led him to get shot in the chest. But what's okay? What the fuck? You're not looking so good there, Charlie. Screw you. What the fuck did Freddy ever do to you? I wanted you, you dipshit. You betrayed everyone who came in contact with you. You killed your best friend. You want to know something funny? Not really. The commission. The old families. I know some of those guys. Whatever. And they thought you were a fat fucking joke. Any last words? You think killing me changes anything? Ideas are bulletproof. Ideas aren't bulletproof, Charlie. They're just as fragile as the people who believe in them. Okay. Okay, so with that whole scene, what do you think is okay? Before I ask the second question, there's two questions I'm going to ask you, and that's related to this. But the first question is, what do you think? Like, basically, is interesting about this whole scene, and then I'll ask you the second question after you answer that first one. So, what do you think is like interesting between that whole scene there? Your mic's muted, man.
Sorry, my bad. Seriously, though. Anyways, moving on from that. So my opinion on this whole scene is that first off, we saw Charlie's warped worldview once again come into play, which I said earlier, and that comes into play here when he's talking to this guy's name's Freddy. Yeah,
The guy the guy in the black shirt was Freddy. Yeah,
who's the guy in the green shirt then? What's his
it's the original me.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it is Joe again. All right. So this guy here, this is so we see this conversation between the two of them. And we see Charlie's worldview, but we also see Joe has changed as a person from the first film as well, which is very interesting to see. And happens actually during the events of this film a little bit. Well, not really, because there's a 1 week section where he does change. Oh, which we don't know what happened in between that. Maybe we'll figure that out later on. A theory that I do have for the scene about Charlie is Charlie may have gone through some traumatic events throughout his life as a clone, and that's why he turned into the person he is today. Now, I don't know exactly what those traumatic events would be, if it was during the Civil War, or maybe it was during a previous incident. Who knows what happened before then? But my best guess would be something during the Civil War may have happened that caused him to hate the world as a whole and reject it.
Okay. And the second question is, like, in the first film, the villain in that had to die. Like, Isaac told Joe in the last film that Joe X, like, they tried everything to kill Joe X, even a gun, like even shooting Joe X, but Joe X was, well, technically already dead, but came back to life. And then Joe in the last film, and the original Joe in the last film, had to snap his fingers to weaken him, and then throw a bomb at him to finish him off. While in this one, Joe just put 2 bullets into Charlie, and which the first one weakened him because it shot him in the chest, and then the second bullet hit his head and killed him instantly. Like,
So
what? Because and what? So and what should and Charlie wasn't like dead either. He was fully alive. Like he hasn't died before. So what happened? Like that's my kind of like if any known viewer would watch this would be like, how come Charlie died so quickly when it took a long time to kill kill Joe X in the last film?
Yeah. So it's okay. So my answer to that is I believe Joe X was the strongest clone out of all of them. He must have been because, as Isaac said, there was a lot of things that they had to. They tried a lot of things on him, but it didn't work. So they had to kill him. By the only way was doing that. Meanwhile, I think Charlie is not as strong, and I also don't think Charlie is a special clone. I think Charlie is a normal clone like everyone else. It's just that he took out his anger, his pent up rage and anger on everyone else to make him look more powerful, while he actually isn't even that powerful. He's in fact pretty weak, as we can see from the movie itself.
Yeah. And it's like, it's like we saw Charlie like when we saw Joe shoot him the first time, we saw him like groan in pain and then just like fall onto the bed and just like fall onto the floor. Like, do you think because of the distraction? Now, do you think that did you ever think that Charlie was gonna end up dying by a gunshot wound, or do you think he was supposed to die in a different way?
Well, considering that trap, it was if you're wondering what I think the trap could have been, it sounds like it might have been like some rocks falling, large rocks. Considering the sounds like rocks falling on someone.
And you know what? One thing I will say is that that Charlie has kind of a William Afton kind of vibe from Friday to Freddy's, because he killed because something happened to him that made him start killing. And if you don't know, like that noise was actually a trap, yes, but it was actually a suit that Charlie made. Like it was supposed to be like so it was like a spring lock suit that, but not like an animatronic. It was not supposed to be an animatronic, but it was like a spring lock suit that had like the spring locks in there that like
Yeah.
was made. But then I guess something happened to where someone must have gone into it to try and use it, and then it like the spring locks basically just like went crazy and then killed whoever was like wearing that, and then Charlie got distracted, and then that's what led Joe to shoot him. So
Yeah. So okay then. Then I have a question then, an extra question from that question that, well, this answer you just gave, that whole thing.
go ahead.
Is that gonna come into play? The whole spring lock thing, is that dude gonna come into play, or is that just gonna be a random thing?
That was just that was just a random thing that was just added in there just to distract Charlie. That I don't think spring locks are gonna be a part of this film, or are gonna be a part of the whole thing until like probably after like few films after. So
All right.
okay, now we're gonna get to the good part, the last bit here. Hello, Joe. Good to see that your film is finally finished. Hey, how did you know I was making a film? Honestly, I don't even know. And how my shirt just changed color? Well, the editing process, of course. Oh, yeah, right. I know that. Yeah. Anyways, I just wanted to say goodbye. I'm heading out now. Where are you going? Well, the island of Sodor, of course. Oh, cool. Can I come? No, you cannot come with me. Well, can I at least have that whistle?
Come.
No. Aw. Oh, hey, Joe. Are you all right? Yes, Thomas, but sometimes everything happens at once. I have to see Top and had to get my orders right away. The journey from Shiningtown keeps getting bumpier and bumpier.
Does it? That big boy Diesel is back, Joe. We need to be careful.
Top and Hat warned me about Diesel. Don't worry, Thomas. I'll just pop in and out my sparkle wherever he goes to keep him in order. I hope. Now, that like in a movie sense, I could see where he would say that, but in real sense, when I was making this, I basically just ripped that part from Thomas and the Magic Railroad. If you, like once I got that, I basically just ripped that from the Thomas and the Magic Railroad, from like the part with the whistle and like him being on Sodor. But but if there's like, what questions or what do you find interesting in this one bit here, right? Like right before the credits?
Well, I have one thing to say about it. Okay, so I have one question about it. So is that little scene there indicative of a maybe like some production coming up that you might make, like a movie or something?
Basically like with this whole CGI portion.
Yeah.
Well,
Or is it
well, I like basically with this, I am intending to use this like somewhat related to this in the next film, basically using like the same character and whatnot for the next film, and basically using the same world for that too, and basically with like the other guy that came in here, I didn't give him a name. Well, actually, his name is Sanders, but it's like, but okay. So something that you might not have known, Jackson, is that there's actually some dialogue that I was going to use, but I didn't really like use because I at that point when I was making that one bit, I was kind of in a rush because that was I filmed this scene. I made this scene the day before, like yesterday. So I was kind of in a rush to get that scene done. But if I had more time, there was more dialogue that would have been said that would have happened. Like,
all right, that makes sense.
Yeah. So now we get to the post-credit scene because
I love the music choice, by the way. Just to let you know.
Really? So you love? Okay. Hold on. Let me. Love this?
I like it, actually. I think the song is pretty good for like the whole civil clone war. That's just the whole clone thing because it's a very sad story. A story of a failed experiment, that caused the world to turn into chaos and everything went wrong from there. And the song it's also kind of like the good ending song of FNAF 3, and it kind of
It is a good ending music from FNAF 3. Yeah.
Yeah, so it fits the vibe, and it also fits the vibe of the ending when Charlie's finally taken down. But also in the way that FNAF 3 is not the end. You know what I mean? Even though even though that guy was finally taken down after all the people he killed, which by the way, I'm pretty sure Charlie, if I'm not mistaken, killed 5 people throughout the movie. He killed those 2 guys, right?
Yeah, so he killed Michael and he killed the clone boss Joe. He killed Freddy. He killed and so far from what we've seen, he killed those 3 on screen. And then if you're wondering, Joe killed the 2 clones that had their gun. Well, he killed the 3 clones that were like just going crazy. And then of course Charlie killed Jacob too. And then so that's 4. And then I don't know where else Charlie would have killed because
Yeah, it looks like he killed 4 people in total.
he 4 people in total that Charlie has killed. And then we got the post-credit scene, which I'm going to play right now.
Okay, this scene, by the way, before you start it, made my jaw literally drop to the floor the first time I watched it. I was not expecting that at all.
So the first time you watched it, your jaw was dropped?
No, I literally, like, not even figuratively, literally, like, my mouth was wide open. I could not believe what I had just watched it, like, the first time I watched it. I was like, what the hell? And it was so shocking to me. I don't think I've ever seen a more surprising plot twist that works so well at the same time with the whole plot.
So basically you're saying that this literally made your jaw drop, like this scene here.
Exactly. Let's go ahead and watch it. That honestly, the whole time, Charlie was Freddy.
Yep. And if you don't know, the first post-credit scene, you didn't know who was behind that mask, but then now you know who's behind the mask.
And it was in fact Charlie. So that
and fun fact, Joe X and Charlie are now in that body.
Oh, so now we have a 2-way body thing, kind of like Golden Freddy and FNAF.
Yeah. Okay. Let me explain. So, if you remember, Joe X died 5 years before. Well, technically 5-7 years before this movie. But what I can say here is that like Joe X's soul was still technically around. You just don't see it because it's not relevant to the story. You don't see it. And what kind of makes sense now is like throughout the final scene with the trap and whatnot, that you can kind of make your own theories on that, but what I think, like my theory, which I'm gonna say is true, is that Joe X's soul probably, like caused that to happen, caused the trap to go off, which then lets Charlie get distracted. Charlie gets shot down and killed by the original Joe, which then led to once Joe left, then basically now both Joe X and Charlie are dead, and then they just meet back. They just meet, I guess, at some point during the credits and the during the final scene at like during the time when Joe left and from when the post credit scene started. Joe X and Charlie probably met at as dead people, and then they just decide to agree on what's going on and whatever. But like so Jackson, one thing I do want to ask you is that like when you saw this bit here, when you saw the Freddy mask, like just that like on its own, just a Freddy mask just laying there on its own. What was going through your head when you saw the Freddy mask on its own right there?
I was like, wait, I wasn't really thinking anything. I was like, okay, the Freddy mask is there, but what does that mean?
And then you saw Charlie pick it up, and then like when you saw Charlie pick it up, like did you think like, okay, he's probably just picking it up for some reason, or did you think that? Or
no, at that moment, I think that was the moment I realized that. Wait a minute, is Charlie Freddy? Like I wasn't entirely sure at this point, but I was like, he probably is.
And
but
then
the moment he puts the mask on, though. No, the moment he puts on the black suit is when I realized, yes, this guy is in fact.
But then hold on a second. Hold on. I just realized this. How can Charlie be the guy behind the mask, when he wasn't introduced until this movie? Because the post credit scene in the last film takes place after the explosion, took place after the explosion, but then this shows this shows Charlie taking control with Joe X in the Freddy mask. How does that make sense?
Well, it's also possible that this could be after the explosion. Wait. It could also be possible that it's after the explosion because the room looks completely clean to me. It doesn't look like it got blown up or anything. It's possible it could have been after as well.
Yeah, but it's okay. But the Freddy guy in the Freddy mask was in there when the room was smoking, like when the smoke was everywhere. But and then he did say that it didn't take very long because it's like, so you said in the last one that there was someone probably associated with them that did that. And then okay, what just popped in my head is that maybe after Joe X and after both Charlie and Joe X left the room in this scene and the camera went down, my guess is that they probably time traveled to back when Joe X originally died, so that way they could both meet up actually and then take over the world. But I'm guessing that they just went back a little too late, and it was after the explosion that when we got back, and that's probably when he said that it didn't take very long.
That's true. And honestly, 100%. Something that I mean, I wouldn't rule out time travel for sure, considering there's universal travel and these whole Clone War things. Another thing, and really this scene though, I also like the way you implemented the FNAF 4 like sound effect and little theme there. That was really interesting. I like that.
Well, so you like how I implemented the beginning like bit here, like
Yeah.
like like just like if you look at the text that just flashes randomly, like it says "Look out, he's coming."
That's very interesting. I don't think it's anyone saying. I don't think it's anyone actually saying it. I think it's just the sound effect. I don't think anyone's actually saying that. It's just the FNAF 4 sound effect being added in there. I don't think there's anything to that.
Yeah, that's the FNAF 4 sound. There's no one saying that. It's just I guess, and then it's just no one saying that, and then it's like then you see that. Just look at how the camera's glitching when Charlie's just around. Look how Charlie's glitching too. Just and then when it does this, error. No video input. Like so like I did not know that your jaw literally dropped literally when you first saw this scene here. Like when you first saw the post-credit scene. Like you're probably like, what the fuck? And you're like because you didn't know what the post-credit scene was gonna be because it was after the credits. You saw it was longer after the credits, so you're like, oh, there's a post-credit scene, and then you saw the post-credit scene, and you were like, what the fuck? You were like surprised, like what was the first thing that came to your mind when you saw like, okay, so I know you probably already broke this down, but like in your head kind of moment in your facial expressions, break down the moments like from like this whole post credit scene before like like when the video just cuts out, like when the video just ends right here. Like what were your thoughts? What were your facial expressions? Or you're like what was going through all of that in your head? Basically just you in general.
All right, I'll try to my best to articulate it. So at the beginning, I was like, okay, so we're gonna have this post-credit scene, but what does this mean? Then I see Charlie, right? And I'm like, so actually for a second I thought it was Joe, but then I realized it was Charlie. So I was like, okay, it's Charlie. So what is Charlie doing? It's probably so yeah. And then I look over to, and then I see the Freddy mask, and I'm like, why is the Freddy mask there exactly? And then he picks up the mask, and I'm like, wait, this is not what I'm thinking, right? And then the moment that he basically teleports into that black suit, I was like, literally like that, like no fucking way, bro. Like what? Like it was so unexpected to me. I was not expecting that. Like there was almost nothing besides his villainous ways that said that he was Freddy before that, but it somehow worked so well despite being not really.
And I don't know if you've noticed, but Charlie actually teleported into the room like in the final scene. If you that led to some suspicions, wouldn't it?
Yeah, he teleported into the room. That is interesting.
Yeah. So, and then it's like, and then it's like we saw that before this, Charlie looks into the camera because he knows it's a security camera that's seeing that, and then as soon as he puts the hood up, the camera starts like blacking out, and then it says error, and then it says no, and then it says no video input. It just says that like for a couple more seconds, and then you see and then you see behind it, and it just blacks out from there.
Oh, so FNAF 3 reference by chance? So it is a security camera that he's looking at.
Yeah, kind of like a FNAF 3. So basically, I kind of just brought back FNAF 3 into this because he's back from the dead now, and there was a Freddy mask, and then he twisted his head, and then he turned into that villain. So the guy behind the Freddy mask, and then now he's out for revenge. Like just from that scene, just from what do you think Charlie's intentions are? Just from that bit alone, just from him transforming into the guy in the Freddy mask, into transforming himself into the Freddy mask, and looking to the camera, him leaving while the security camera just turns off. What do you think his intentions are with Joe X now? With for them, what do you think's gonna happen in the next film that could happen with him and Joe X going after Joe? What do you think is gonna happen?
So first off, I think Charles and Joe X will team up in the next movie, possibly to try to take down Joe once and for all in the third installment of the series. Second off, as for your question about what I think Charlie's intentions are, my intentions are, I think that he is looking for power. He wants power. He wants to be looked at as a serious figure because, as you said, they looked at him as a fat piece of shit or something like that. They looked at him as a fat piece of shit, and he clearly wanted to be taken seriously. And also, the reason that he could wear a Freddy mask and stuff is, in my opinion, it's very possible that he might be self-conscious as well, because, again, nobody takes him seriously, and I'm guessing he doesn't want to be seen. He doesn't want his face shown in public sometimes. Sometimes he just likes to hide in the Freddy mask. It could also be for, identification reasons, so that he doesn't get identified everywhere he goes. It could also be that as well.
Okay, and or it could be because I get what you're saying, but it could also be because he could be trying to hide the bullet that killed him, that entered his head. He's trying to hide that from people seeing that he died, and that he doesn't want to be noticed or whatnot. So I can agree with that, definitely. So besides all of that, what do you think, so from both the first film and the second film, what do you think the plot will be for the third film now that both villains from both movies have died and are now probably teaming up? They're going to team up in the third film. What do you think the plot will be for the third film? Because that's going to be Attack of the Mad Clones Part 2. And what do you think the plot will probably be for the third film? And that you probably will be. And I'll probably look back at this when I'm doing it, when I'm about to make the third film, to see if I want to, make this theory true or not. But what do you think is gonna be the plot of the third film?
Okay, so in my opinion, if you want me to, okay. So in my opinion, what I think the plot of the third movie is going to be is, I think the Freddy guy, which is both Charlie and Joe X, are going to go after Joe. I think that's what's going to happen. I also think in the third movie, we are going to see the official end of the war between the clones. And I don't know how that's going to end. We could also see the building walls part and the army fighting part, which would be very interesting and a cool way to kind of cap off the trilogy a little bit. Something I also think could happen is Isaac, I think, could get some more focus in the next installment, which would be interesting to see, since he didn't get much focus in the first one and even less in the second. Another thing that I think would be interesting is if the guy on the phone made his return in the third one. We'll have to see if that can happen, but that would be interesting if he returned. And okay, so what I think the plot's going to be. So the plot, okay, back to the plot though. So the plot's just basically going to be those two in the same body in the Freddy suit going after Joe, and then okay. Do you think Hank will return in the third one by any chance?
Well, judging how Hank didn't get much screen time in this one, I think I think Hank will make a return, and I think well, I was about to say Freddy would make a return, but Freddy's dead, so he can't really make a return because any character that dies in this film is basically just gonna be well, besides the villain and the main character, any like side character that dies that dies in the film is gonna be just a one-off character and is just gonna be used for that purpose. But Hank, he hasn't died in the film, so honestly, and then the three clones that were there, and just so you know, Freddy was also the guy that came into the room and saw Michael and the clone boss Joe, the second Joe, die. So he did see them die, but then he died himself, and then the three clones. I have not given them names, but I think Hank, and then if I give one of them a name, if I give all three of them a name, all three of them might return. All three of them plus Hank might return to the film and be somewhat of might be somewhat secondary character.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, but before we close this thing out, I'm actually first off, I gotta ask: will Isaac be in the third one?
Well, if I find a place for him to fit, then yes. Because okay, so the reason why I say yes is because Joe and Isaac have been friends because they've known each other before the first film, and then of course, and then Isaac had only one scene, only one clip in the whole second film, but in the third film, I will try to give Isaac a second a bigger role in that, and then I'll try to give and I'll try and get Isaac to get a bigger role in the film, and then on how he and then maybe I can find a way on how to introduce on how Joe and Isaac became friends in the first place, and then and whatnot. So yeah, Isaac will be in the first film, and he's already in the first film, but Isaac will be in the third film. But the only reason why I would say no is because I wouldn't think of a way to put Isaac into the film. So, but more or less, Isaac will have an appearance in the third film.
All right, but before we do close this out, Joe, since this is already an hour and a half long video, I am going to give this movie a rating. All right, I think I didn't do this for the last one. I'm going to give this movie this is hard, but I'm going to give it a 7.8 out of 10. I thought it was a very well-made movie. I really liked a lot of the dialogue. I liked the new additions to the cast. I thought there were some really funny moments. I really liked the story. There were some parts, though, that were a little weird, in my opinion, that I didn't entirely like. But overall, it was a really good movie, and I think Joe did a really good job on this one. I really enjoyed my watch, or my two watches of it, of this one. I thought it was good.
All right. Well, thanks for that, Jackson. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. So yeah, that's it from me. If you guys haven't already, subscribe to Jackson and Jackson's channel, Jackson 2008.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we'll see you guys in the next film, and I'll see you guys in the next video because and the next film won't be in production until probably May. So I'll have like a 2-month break from making films because like after the first film came out, I started working, and then I started working on started working at my job, and I started working on this next film. So yeah, but I'll take a break from making the next film, and so I'll see you guys in the next film in the next video. So bye guys.
Bye. See you later. Stay safe out there.